Cool.
Hello and welcome to Full Throttle. I'm your host, Justin Thrtlle. With me today is my co-host of my new series, Stories from Racing. How are you doing today, Doug?
Doing really good. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you on.
Yeah, pleasure.
So anyway, tell my viewers, because a lot of them might not know yet, what type of racing you're into, really.
I'm into all types of racing. I followed NASCAR for a number of years, and I follow Trans Am, and I follow IndyCar and Stadium Super Trucks. I like all types.
You like all types. Well, as you know, I'm a big NASCAR nerd, so if you had a crystal ball, talking NASCAR now, who do you think is going to win the title? I know we're one round into the playoffs, but who do you think will win the title?
If I had to pick one, I would say Kyle Larson at the moment. Kyle Larson's the most active winner this year. He's won the most races. He won the regular season championship, and he's really on a roll after such a hard year that he had last year. And I met him in Phoenix a few years ago. He was a pleasure to meet too. So if I had my money, I'd say Larson will win this year.
Larson will win this year?
That's what I think, yeah.
That's what you think.
Yeah.
So have you been to any NASCAR races?
I've been to several. I went to the 2013 Subway and the Advocare 500 races in Phoenix. I saw Carl Edwards win in the Subway car, and I also saw Kevin Harvick win his final race for Richard Childress Racing. And then I was there for Dale Jr.'s last win, which was rain shortened. And then I kind of took a break for a while, and I returned to Phoenix in 2017, where I met Daytona 500 winner Derek Cope. And then I saw Matt Kenseth win his final race in Phoenix, and it was a lot of fun. And then I went to both races in Phoenix in 2018, where I saw Kevin Harvick win again, and then I saw Kyle Busch win, and at the 2018 race in November, I met Larson, and then in 2019 I went to the Xfinity race in Phoenix, which was the last time that I went there so far.
So if you had to pick a driver, who is your favorite driver?
I have several, to be honest, but if I had to say the greatest driver probably of all time, there are several arguments as to who that is. But if I had to pick my all-time favorite driver in NASCAR, it would be Kyle Busch, just because of what he's achieved, and I'm also a fan as far as IndyCar of Helio Castroneves. I think he's one of the best, and Scott Dixon, and I also believe that for other series like Trans Am, it'd be Tony Ave, and yeah.
Talk to my viewers about some of the drivers you have met, please.
Sure, I've met Kyle Larson, I've met Jamie McMurray, and I've also met Derek Cope, the 1990 Daytona 500 winner, and I've also met Tanner Berryhill, and I've also met Scott Gaylord and Ben Rhodes, and then I also have met guys like Al Unser Jr., the two-time Indy 500 champion, and I've met a dozen others in sports car divisions and in the GT America series, which is pretty cool. And I also I also last month had a tremendous meeting with iconic team owner Roger frickin' Penske.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. You said you freaked out when he almost ran you over.
Yeah, I can actually describe the story very quick if you'd like. Your listeners might get a kick out of it.
Yeah, please do.
Last month, when I went to the IndyCar Music City Grand Prix weekend in Nashville, I went to practice for the IndyCar series, which is now owned by Roger Penske. When Penske purchased the IndyCar series in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway a few years ago, I had said at the time that Penske, and I still believe it, Penske is probably, well, not probably, he's the greatest automotive businessman since Henry Ford. And, you know, I have always said if there's anybody that deserves to own the IndyCar series, the Indy 500, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's definitely Roger Penske. And what I did was after IndyCar practice was over, I was in a field talking with somebody, and everybody was scurrying to get outside, to get out of the track, to get merchandise or get food. And I was caught up in the conversation, and I didn't realize that I backed myself up into an oncoming golf cart. And I got run into by the golf cart and I fell to the ground. And when I looked up, the guy behind the wheel asked me if I was okay. And I recognized the voice right away. And I thought, is that who I think it is? You know? And I stood up, and it happened to be Roger Penske. And I was like, holy cow, Roger Penske, it's you. And I asked, can I shake your hand and get a picture? And Penske was like, yeah, but be quick, I have to go. And so my partner was like, get your camera ready, Doug. I was so dumbstruck by it, however, that I handed my camera to Penske rather than the person taking my picture. And Penske kind of was like chuckling a bit. And Christine was like, Doug, give the camera to me. And so I quickly handed it to her. The picture was taken, and yeah, it was great. It was a great meeting. And what was great about it was a couple months prior, I actually dreamed in my sleep that I met Penske. I had put it out to the universe and it came true.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but believe me, it's a great feeling.
It's a great feeling. I wish I had just like that to have a dream and meet a driver.
Yeah, for sure. But he's not just a driver; he's a team owner, and
he's
probably
a team
the best
owner.
one.
But no, so back in the day, did you watch NASCAR or IndyCar? How did you get involved in liking racing?
It goes back to 2008. My grandfather had a little bit of he had a cancer battle and was entering his final days before, he passed away. And while I was tending to him with my family, I was watching some television and I was looking for SpongeBob SquarePants. I grew up with that show and it wasn't on, and I was flipping through the channels, and what ended up happening was I found myself onto a sports show, which happened to be NASCAR. And the cars that were driving were driving around the track, and they were also, just a sec, I have an itch. Sorry about that. They were driving around the track, and what ended up happening was I saw the cars and I recognized them as the exact same type from Disney Pixar's Cars, which was one of my favorite movies growing up. So I was like, okay, I'll watch this for a bit. and I saw some of the action that was on it. And the race was that particular race where Keselowski had won in Phoenix Racing's car by sending Carl Edwards into the catch fencing. And when I saw the final lap accident happen, I was surprised, first off, that Keselowski wasn't penalized, because with my past experience in the sport, had said that wrecking someone was a cardinal sin. I thought in NASCAR it was the same. And so when Keselowski was declared the winner, I was like, oh, I thought he was going to get penalized. But anyway, what mattered was Edwards climbed out of the car okay and sprinted across the finish line to finish the race, even though it wasn't going to count in the records, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. And over the next few months, I watched at various points more of the action. I saw the next race at that particular track on television, which ended with Jamie McMurray winning. It was his final race with Roush. And so that made me a McMurray fan for a while. And the next year I watched half the season of racing, which was the spring part of it, and saw a lot of the action that took place, such as Edwards getting his payback against Keselowski. And I also saw the one where McMurray won the Daytona 500, which made me even more of a McMurray fan. And by 2011, however, I became a Kyle Busch fan because he was a frequent winner. And I watched the full season of racing, and I thought it was pretty cool that there were 5 winners that year that were first-time winners, like Trevor Bayne and Paul Menard. Those were pretty cool. And then later that year, Kyle Busch got into it with Ron Hornaday. And at that time, he was being villainized by a lot of people. So I got cyberbullied a couple times by people that wanted me to not be a Busch fan anymore when Busch got into it with Hornaday. And
oh wow.
Yeah, but I stood my ground. I agreed with NASCAR's decision to park him, but I did give the benefit of the doubt that he would be better in the future, which so far he has to an extent. So
yeah,
and ever since then I watched it for years.
I was going to say, so what's your thoughts on Kyle Busch this year? I mean, do you look for him to do well?
I still hold out the hopes that he'll do well. Because of circumstances, my life has kind of gone in a different direction. So I don't make racing as my biggest priority like I used to. I mean, I still follow it on Facebook and YouTube, and I still watch the highlights, but I don't make it my biggest priority like I did as a kid. And except for you and I's racing show that we launched together, the channel we launched and as a team, and actually my activism in racing, where I've actually started meeting the drivers in person. I met them at the races that I went to, which opened doors up for me. And in 2019, on my regular channel with my mentor, I started bringing race drivers onto my regular channel, which is Relentless and Unstoppable. And I started interviewing some pretty big names. And that's kind of what ultimately led me to connect with you and launch the Stories from Motorsports show as a team,
Yes.
So, that's pretty cool. And yeah, but a lot of this is started because of my overall life, which is my relentless and unstoppable journey, which can be written as a book unto itself. And, so that's what I've been up to the past few years in racing. And I still go to races, as you can see, but I only go in person these days. I don't actually spend hours watching television. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, tell each of us can tell one of the viewers what we have coming up for Stories from Racing.
Yeah, this week we have a couple interviews scheduled with some Trans Am drivers that I met last month in Nashville and saw them compete. And there's a really good chance that more drivers might come on because one of them is going to extend an invitation to some of the competitors that he knows. So yeah. And then afterwards, I have a little bit of a hiatus because of some project that I'm working on in the professional industry that I'm in. So it's going to be on hiatus for a while, but we will keep posting every now and then, like race footage and all that, just to keep you all interested.
Yeah, just to keep you all interested. And I'm sure, Doug, you can give me the information on the cow, and
Definitely, I'll do that when we're done with this.
we'll get going. But thank you for coming on Full Throttle, Doug, and telling some of my viewers what you think of racing and how much you enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Full Throttle. I will see you guys in the next video or whenever. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're new, and go check us out on Stories from Motorsports, right, Doug?
Yep, that's right. The channel and show we launched as a team.
So Doug and I will see you over there on Stories from Motorsports, and this concludes this edition of Full Throttle. Goodbye, everyone.